Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real straight. Your biggest enemy is not your boss. It's not your neighbor. It's not even the people who doubt you. Your biggest enemy is your own uncontrolled mind. That voice in your head that tells you you can't, that whispers you're not good enough, that convinces you to quit before you've even started. That voice is the most dangerous opponent you will ever face. See, life is not about what happens to you. It's about how your mind decides to respond to it. When you truly understand that your uncontrolled mind is your greatest enemy, you start to see life from a completely different angle. Most people believe that their problems come from the outside, from their circumstances, from people who don't support them, from bad luck, or from opportunities they never got. But the truth is, the mind that is not tamed, the mind that is left to wander without direction, can destroy you faster than any outside force ever could. Your uncontrolled mind is the one that convinces you not to take the leap, that keeps you in a loop of fear, that constantly brings up memories of your past mistakes to make sure you never forget them. It's the voice that says you're not smart enough, not strong enough, not lucky enough. That voice doesn't just speak, it screams in moments of doubt. And if you don't know how to silence it or redirect it, it becomes the loudest influence in your life. The human mind is powerful, more powerful than most people realize. It can create empires or destroy them. It can lift you to heights you never imagined, or it can keep you chained to the same spot for decades. The dangerous part is that when the mind is uncontrolled, it naturally leans toward fear, laziness, procrastination, and excuses. You have to teach your mind to think negatively. That comes easy. What's hard is teaching it discipline, focus, and resilience. That's why the uncontrolled mind is such a dangerous enemy. You're fighting something that lives inside you, something that knows all your weaknesses, all your insecurities, and all the reasons you might give up. Every battle you face in life starts in your mind before it ever shows up in reality. You can lose before you even begin if your thoughts have already convinced you it's impossible. Think about it. How many times have you stopped yourself from going after something just because your mind filled you with doubts? How many times have you hesitated because your mind told you it was too risky, too late, or too hard? The uncontrolled mind doesn't want growth. It wants comfort. It will keep you in familiar places, even if those places are miserable, because it's afraid of change. That's why people sabotage themselves, even when opportunities are right in front of them. It's not because they can't do it, it's because their mind is working against them instead of for them. The uncontrolled mind will make you procrastinate on things that matter and make you focus on things that don't. It will tell you to wait for the perfect time, which never comes. It will feed you lies that sound like truths because you've heard them for so long, and before you know it, years pass by and you're still stuck in the same place, wondering why life hasn't changed. The scariest thing about the uncontrolled mind is that it's invisible to most people. They think life is happening to them, when in reality, their mind is shaping everything they see and do. If you're not in control of it, then it's in control of you, and that's a battle you can't afford to lose because it determines everything else in your life. Thoughts shape your reality, and the sooner you understand this, the sooner you'll start taking your mental discipline seriously. Every single thing you've done, every decision you've made, every risk you've taken or avoided began with a thought. Before you lifted a finger, your mind already set the stage for what was about to happen. If you constantly think you're going to fail, your actions will match that belief. If you constantly imagine yourself succeeding, you'll move in ways that make that outcome more likely. The mind is like the steering wheel of your life. Wherever it turns, your life follows. But here's the challenge. Most people leave their thoughts unchecked. allowing negative patterns, fear, and doubt to dominate the direction they're headed. When you fill your mind with self-defeating thoughts, you're planting seeds of limitation. Over time, these seeds grow into a reality that feels impossible to change. You look at your life and see proof of the very thoughts you've been feeding it. No progress, no opportunities, no confidence. And because the mind loves to prove itself right, it will constantly find reasons to support what you believe, whether those beliefs are positive or negative. If you believe you're not capable, your mind will remind you of every past failure. If you believe you're destined for more, your mind will point out every possibility. This is why being careless with your thoughts is so dangerous. You're literally building your future with them. What you dwell on becomes your world. If your morning start with worry, you'll carry attention into your work, your relationships, and your decisions. If your days are filled with complaining, you'll train your mind to look for problems instead of solutions. On the other hand, if you intentionally focus on gratitude, hope, and the possibilities ahead, you'll find yourself acting in alignment with that energy. People think this is just positive thinking, as if it's some shallow self-help advice, but it's not. It's about rewiring your brain to expect and create better outcomes instead of unconsciously sabotaging yourself. The tricky part is that your mind will always try to pull you back to familiar ways of thinking, especially when you're trying to grow. You might set a goal, but the moment it gets uncomfortable, old thoughts will creep in. This is too hard. It's not for people like me. I'm not ready. If you don't challenge those thoughts, they become commands that your life will follow. Thoughts are not harmless. They are the blueprint your actions build from. That's why people with the same skills, same opportunities, and same results end up with completely different results, because their thought patterns were shaping to completely different realities. You can't always control what thoughts come into your mind, but you can control which ones you give power to. If you choose to nurture the thoughts that push you forward instead of the ones that hold you back, you begin to shift the entire direction of your life. An undisciplined mind is like a wild horse that leads you astray. It has power, it has speed, it has energy, but without control, all of that strength works against you instead of for you. Imagine putting a person on a wild, untrained horse. They're going to be thrown off, dragged, or carried somewhere they never intended to go. That's exactly what happens when your mind is not disciplined. It runs in every direction, chasing every distraction, reacting to every emotion, and pulling you away from the very path you're supposed to be on. The problem is that most people don't realize they're riding a wild horse because they've been on it for so long. They've accepted mental chaos as normal, not understanding that it's the reason they keep ending up in the wrong places. When your mind has no discipline, it can't stay focused long enough to finish anything meaningful. You start things but never complete them. You make plans but never follow through. 1 minute you're inspired, the next minute you're discouraged. The mind without discipline feeds on instant gratification. It wants what feels good now, even if it destroys your long-term success. That's why you see so many people stuck in cycles they can't break. They want change, but their mind keeps pulling them back into old habits because that's what's comfortable. And comfort is the biggest trap an undisciplined mind will set for you. Discipline in the mind means being able to direct your thoughts, not just let them wander wherever they want. It means being able to hold your focus on the things that matter even when everything around you is screaming for your attention. The world is full of noise, social media, negativity, gossip, distractions. And if your mind is untrained, it will chase all of it without hesitation. But when you train your mind like a rider trains a horse, you can make it move where you want, stop when you want, and stay steady no matter how loud the noise gets. Without mental discipline, you become reactive instead of proactive. You're constantly responding to whatever comes your way instead of creating the life you want. You get pulled into other people's problems, other people's opinions, and other people's emotions. Before you know it, you're living a life designed by everything and everyone except you. A wild horse doesn't know the difference between the right road and the wrong one. It just runs. The same goes for your mind. Without guidance, it will take you down roads filled with fear, doubt, and wasted time. Training your mind takes effort, but it's the only way to harness its true power. When your thoughts are disciplined, they stop running in circles and start moving in a straight line toward your goals. You become more focused, more consistent, and more intentional. And instead of being dragged by your mind into places you don't want to go, you finally take the reins and direct it toward the life you're meant to live. Replace negative inner dialogue with affirmations of possibility and determination, because the words you say to yourself have the power to either build you or break you. Most people don't realize how much time they spend talking themselves out of opportunities. They replay mistakes from the past. They predict failure before they even start, and they constantly remind themselves of why things won't work out. This inner dialogue becomes like a constant background noise that shapes every decision they make. When you tell yourself over and over that you're not capable, you're not worthy, or you're not ready, your mind starts to believe it is truth. And once your mind accepts it, your actions follow, creating a cycle where you never step into your full potential. But here's the thing. You can choose what you feed your mind. You can intentionally replace those self-defeating thoughts with words that fuel your confidence, focus, and resilience. Affirmations aren't just feel-good quotes you say in the mirror. They're mental commands. When you tell yourself, I can handle this, I am prepared, or I will find a way, you're giving your mind instructions to start looking for solutions instead of problems. You begin to program yourself to see opportunities where you used to see dead ends. This doesn't mean you'll never feel fear or doubt again, but it does mean you'll be training your mind to push through them instead of surrendering to them. Mind responds to repetition. If you've been telling yourself negative things for years, you've been reinforcing that mindset without even realizing it. That's why it can feel uncomfortable at first to speak positively to yourself. It's unfamiliar. But just like learning any new skill, the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. When you replace a thought like, I can't do this with, I will find a way to do this, you're shifting your entire mental state from defeat to determination. Over time, this new inner language becomes your default, and it starts influencing every action you take. Negative inner dialogue keeps you trapped in hesitation and fear, but affirmations of possibility push you toward action. They remind you of your potential, even when your circumstances don't. They help you focus on the solution, not the problem. They give you the courage to take the first step and then the next until you've built momentum. Your mind will believe whatever you repeat to it often enough. So it's up to you to decide whether you want that to be words of doubt or words of determination. The truth is, every great achievement begins in the mind long before it becomes reality. If your inner voice is constantly tearing you down, you'll never have the strength to move forward. But if you fill your mind with affirmations of what's possible, and you back them up with consistent action, you begin to shape a life that reflects the strength, courage, and persistence you've been speaking into yourself. Taking control of your mind is the first step to taking control of your life, because everything you do, everything you feel, and everything you become starts in your thoughts. You cannot expect your circumstances to change if your thinking stays the same. Your mind is a command center that sends out the instructions for how you respond to challenges, how you approach opportunities, and how you recover from setbacks. If you let it run on autopilot, it will keep you trapped in the same patterns you've always known. But when you step in and consciously guide it, you begin to direct your life. instead of being dragged by it. Control doesn't mean you never have negative thoughts. It means you don't allow those thoughts to run your decisions. It means you recognize when your mind is going down a road of fear, self-doubt, or comparison, and you make the choice to turn it towards something more productive. Just like you can choose what food you eat, you can choose what mental diet you feed yourself. If you give your mind junk, gossip, complaints, fear, it will produce more of the same in your life. But if you feed it vision, gratitude, and determination, it will begin to guide you toward actions that align with those qualities. When you control your mind, you stop being a victim of impulse. You don't react just because you feel something in a moment. You pause, you think, and you decide what's best for your long-term goals. This is why people who master their thoughts often seem calmer under pressure. It's not that their lives are easier, it's that they've trained themselves not to let their emotions take over the steering wheel. They know that a single moment of unchecked thinking can lead to a lifetime of regret, so they guard their minds with intention. Taking control of your mind also means setting boundaries for what gets your attention. Not every opinion deserves space in your head. Not every problem is yours to solve. The more control you have over what you allow in, the more control you have over what comes out in your words, actions, and decisions. People waste years of their lives letting other people's negativity dictate their thinking. But when you control your mind, you protect it from that influence and stay focused on the path you've chosen. The moment you start consciously directing your thoughts, you begin to see changes in every area of your life. Your confidence grows because you no longer believe in every negative thing your mind tells you. Your opportunities expand because you're looking for solutions instead of problems. Your relationships improve because you're thinking with clarity instead of reacting from insecurity. Controlling your mind doesn't just change how you think, it changes how you live, how you work, and how far you go.